Imagine an entire military fortress, streets, buildings, batteries, even a trolley system, swallowed by jungle and slowly slipping into the sea. What if I told you this ghost town sits on a tiny island right in the middle of Tampa Bay, and you can actually visit it today? This is Fort Dade on Egmont Key, one of Florida's most hauntingly beautiful ghost towns. And the story of how it rose, fell, and got abandoned is more wild than any ghost story you've ever heard. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to want to hop on the next ferry out there. Welcome back to Florida Ghost Towns, the series where we explore the forgotten places, the lost cities, and the abandoned history hiding in plain sight all across the Sunshine State. I'm your host, and today we're going to Egmont Key, a tiny barrier island at the mouth of Tampa Bay, to uncover the incredible and tragic story of Fort Dade. Before Fort Dade ever existed, Egmont Key already had a dark and complicated past. The island sits at the entrance to Tampa Bay, just off the tip of the Pinellas Peninsula, barely a mile long and half a mile wide. In 1848, the U.S. government built a lighthouse here, the only lighthouse on Florida's Gulf Coast between Key West and St. Marks. That same year, a hurricane buried the entire island under 6 feet of water. The lighthouse keeper rowed his boat to Tampa and never came back. Can you blame him? But the island's darkest chapter came in the 1850s. The U.S. Army used Egmont Key as a holding camp for Seminole people captured during the Third Seminole War, men, women, and children. Imprisoned on this tiny island before being forcibly relocated to Oklahoma. Many never made it. They died here, and they are still buried somewhere beneath the island's shifting sands. That history is never far away when you walk through the ruins of Fort Dade. Fast forward to 1898. The United States is on the brink of war with Spain. Tampa has become the staging ground for the entire Spanish-American war effort. Soldiers are flooding in, Theodore Roosevelt and his Rough Riders are camped here, and the government suddenly realizes Tampa Bay is completely undefended. Any Spanish warship could sail right in and destroy everything. So they built Fort Dade, named after Major Francis Langhorne Dade, the officer killed in the opening ambush of the Second Seminole War in 1835. The fort was constructed at lightning speed on Egmont Key, right at the mouth of Tampa Bay. Massive concrete gun batteries were installed to guard the main ship channel. But here's the twist. The war ended before Fort Dade ever fired a single shot in combat. Not one single shot. Spain surrendered in just 4 months. But the Army didn't abandon the fort. Instead, they expanded it. At its peak, Fort Dade wasn't just a military outpost, it was a complete self-contained town. And this is where the ghost town story gets really fascinating. By the early 1900s, Fort Dade had over 500 soldiers stationed here. There were dozens of buildings, barracks, officers' quarters, a hospital, a schoolhouse, a bowling alley, a bakery, even a baseball diamond. The fort had its own electric power plant, running water, and, get this, a trolley system that ran the length of the island. A trolley, on a tiny barrier island in the Gulf of Mexico. After the Spanish-American War, the fort also served as the quarantine station for all American soldiers returning from Cuba. Every single soldier coming home had to spend 10 days here on Egmont Key before they were allowed back on the mainland. During World War I, Fort Dade became a major training center for National Guard Coast Artillery units. Thousands of soldiers trained here, learning to operate those massive coastal guns. The fort was a living, breathing military city. And then, almost overnight, it wasn't. Before I tell you what happened next, if you're enjoying this series on Florida's forgotten places, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps more people find these incredible stories. Now, back to Fort Dade. In 1921, the U.S. Army deactivated Fort Dade. just like that. The soldiers packed up and left. The buildings were stripped, the equipment was removed, and Egmont Key was handed back to the elements. Nature didn't waste any time. The subtropical Florida climate, the heat, the humidity, the hurricanes, began reclaiming everything almost immediately. Wooden structures rotted away within years, the jungle crept in, the beaches eroded, and then came the real kicker. The island itself started shrinking. Egmont Key has been losing land to erosion for over a century. Streets that once ran through the heart of the fort now jut out into open water. Foundations and concrete batteries that once sat well inland are now half submerged in the Gulf of Mexico. The sea is literally swallowing Fort Dade, slowly, steadily, inevitably. So what can you actually see today? Honestly, more than you'd expect, and it's absolutely worth the trip. Egmont Key is now a Florida state park and national wildlife refuge. You can only reach it by ferry or private boat from Fort DeSoto Park or Tierra Verde. Once you're there, you can walk among the ruins of the massive concrete gun batteries, Battery Mellon and Battery Howard, still standing after more than 120 years. You'll find remnants of brick buildings, crumbling foundations disappearing into the palms, and stretches of the old brick road that once carried that trolley. The whole island has this incredible, eerie quality. Gopher tortoises wander through the ruins, osprey nest in the crumbling walls, and the Lighthouse, rebuilt in 1858 and still operational today, stands watch over everything. And if you walk to the south end of the island at low tide, you can actually see old brick streets extending directly into the Gulf. The ghost town isn't just on the island, part of it is underwater. How wild is that? Fort Dade is one of those places that hits different when you're standing in it. You're surrounded by jungle, by ruins, by the sound of waves, and you realize that this was once a busy, vibrant military city full of thousands of people. They had jobs, families, baseball games, and a trolley ride to work, and now the sea is taking it back, piece by piece. That is the story of Fort Dade, the forgotten fortress of Egmont Key. If you've been to Egmont Key or Fort Dade, I want to hear about it. Drop your experience in the comments below, or let me know which Florida ghost town you think we should cover next in this series. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode, and we'll see you at the next ghost town.